Hello. Good morning, afternoon, evening, or night to whoever and wherever you may be. I'm just gonna be on here yapping, looking up stuff that kind of coincide with some of the thoughts I was having and thinking about. Um so I don't really know where to start, so I just will. I was in therapy and talking about anime. And we're talking about how Dragon Ball Z in particular. I'm watching Dragon Ball Z Kai right now, and I'm at the Frieza saga or Namek arc, whatever. And I, I had a pretty interesting conversation with my therapist about kind of like characters and kind of where we place them and things of that nature. So I'm a it's probably obvious, but I'm a big fan of Gohan. Uh, Throughout all of Z, Gohan has been like a super interesting character study. And as I watch it now, like rewatching it, and not just like on clips, like watching kind of things that nigga been through and like his peak moments of just like I whoop this nigga's ass. Like a lot of Gohan's explosive potential comes from his extreme emotion, and that's with most Saiyans, right? Like as soon as they get really angry, especially like the kind, good-natured Saiyans of Earth, like fucking Gohan and Goku, right? Even Goten to a certain extent, but that's a weird thing. We see for Goku and his son, bro, when they get upset, like when they get really hot, my nigga, that's when they like tee off on niggas and like start tapping into some power that was seemingly dormant um until they kind of got angry. Um and I think the reason why Gohan for me becomes a very interesting character is because if you have seen Dragon Ball, we know that Goku was doing a lot of his fighting because of his, like, it was to channel that into something like positive for him, which was just like his competitive nature. Like his anger being used as competitive nature wouldn't allow him to use it for like his own like selfish needs and desires and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why I think there's plenty of other videos and essays that like talk about how he basically Master Roshi, when he was like Jackie Chun, didn't let him win the tournament, like fought him at his fullest to see if like he was ready. I think something like Totally Mark or someone said that. I don't know. I've seen a few things where like they were talking about that. Like they needed to see if he was ready to take the mantle of being the world's strongest before basically giving him that, because that could essentially like corrupt him in a way and at least make him like a lot more arrogant and things like that, because Goku's kind of naturally always been like, he's an alien, right? He's gifted, he's stronger than people, you know what I'm saying? He's just been that guy kind of. But to go into Gohan's always been kind of like a good kid. Um and he's always been forced to fight. And it was never his, like, it wasn't his choice. You know what I mean? And the way that he's brought into it is literally because of his father. Like he's now having to take his father's place, right? Because he's his father's son. You know what I mean? He has the potential to be that guy. So that's who you have to be, because that guy is no longer around. But it doesn't mean he's doing it out of a sense of like, I want to be competitive. I think he was doing it because he had to, and he knew he had to. So I think with that, man, it just makes him so interesting, because he ends up being a weird character that people see for his potential and for who he could be, and admire that rather than like who he is, because who he is and who he can be are just so starkly different to some people sometimes, that it's just kind of frustrating to see someone, to what they would assume, just kind of not live up to their full potential. And I think it makes it hard for people, I think, like me, who, can understand that perspective but try to respect Gohan for who he truly wants to be. And we see this multiple times, right? We see him, this is kind of like his coming of age right now, where he's actually training with Piccolo, and like he's kind of somewhat going through a little bit of what his dad had to go through when he was growing up. It's a completely different way. He is getting negative reinforcement from Piccolo, which is one of his dad's ops, where, I mean, he had Master Roshi and then a friend with him. You see, Gohan is left alone when he's in the freaking this wilderness. You know what I mean? Piccolo just drops the nigga off and says, "Here, little nigga, make something shake." And Master Roshi has, he has students, and Goku has Bulma almost immediately. So even though he's doing this and a lot of the things, to grow by himself, it's within the company. Whereas Gohan is kind of just having to fight his dad's op, who like just a little bit ago was, I mean, he's the nigga who murked his pops. You know what I'm saying? So like your uncle kidnapped you, your pops gets cooked by the same nigga who's trying to train you, and you get left in the wilderness. Then you got to figure out how to survive. You figure it out. Now this nigga just beating your ass. It's just like, nigga, get ready, bro. There's stronger niggas than me pulling up. And it's like he never did this out of his own. Like, we never really got to see, like, we never can ask Gohan, like, nigga, what do you want? Because kind of in a way, and he understands it, it didn't really matter what he wanted. All that mattered is what needed to happen. And what needed to happen is that he needed to be in a decent amount of shape so that he could help. Because, I mean, we see how much of an impact he has in Z. I mean, we see him going into Ozaru versus Vegeta, and how that ends up being helpful. Ozaru, great ape, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. How that helps the fight. You know what I mean? At that point, I think Goku was like completely like incapacitated. So him going into that form really aided his father. If Gohan didn't get mad, didn't have his Saiyan lineage and all that stuff, and wasn't utilizing it, then it could have resulted in Vegeta taking over the earth. Like, you know what I'm saying? We just don't know. He needed to be there, essentially. But then we think about later, after he defeats Cell, and kind of what people see is like, his like downward spiral, because he just is going to school and shit like that, and like is trying to be a superhero. You know what I mean? Like, I think it ends up being hard for people to watch that because they want him to be his dad. They want him to be who they want him to be, and who he wants to be is someone who doesn't have to do this, but can and will if necessary. Just like I think most people, right? When push comes to shove, some people could do some things that they would rather not or can't. You know, it's like we're all capable of good or bad, right? It's the potential again. But I think it's like he doesn't have to be defined by what his potential is necessarily, because this is his potential. This is what would be most Saiyan's potentials. You feel me? A destructive force, big ass ape that could destroy planets. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what he wants to be or who he wants to be. So when he gets to be who he wants to be, we reject him. Not all of us. I say we is just like, you know, a collective generalization. But a few of us kind of reject him because that shit not hard, nigga, like, or whatever it might be. And it's kind of disappointing. I mean, it's very disappointing, but it's kind of, I mean, it makes sense. We can make sense of it. It don't make sense. It just is. You know what I mean? I think a lot of the times I do have an understanding of like why something like that would make sense, but I don't like that shit, bro. Cause like I think Dragon Ball superhero. Cause I'm kind of going all over the place. I'm going from like Z to Dragon Ball and blah blah blah. Like, stay with me, nigga. Come there. It's a story, so it's connected. Yeah, but like the points remain the same. It's like that shows so much of who Gohan is, and the naming, the title of that should already be super easy to understand what kind of a person Gohan is. That nigga is a superhero. That nigga is not a Saiyan martial artist. That nigga is a superhero. He potentially, right, if we look at just his potential is to be the strongest Saiyan on Earth. Because at some point he was. If we go back to the Cell Saga, that nigga is, 11? And he's stronger than 2 grown-ass men. Just off of the simple fact of his potential. Two grown-ass men who, mind you, have been training in the same environment that he was in. This levels the playing field to some extent. Because Gohan, in all of that, ends up still having more potential than them niggas. It's just untapped. And what brings it out of him? Famous scene, bro. Famous scene. I gotta play this shit, you know what I mean? I just play this shit, bro. Cause niggas know, but it's like, it's good to get a visual, I think. And it'll look fire on like the stream.
Yet another fighter you could have saved.
Could have, nigga. That fucked up, right? Now, this doesn't have the speech, so I might have to go back and listen to Android 16 speech. Hold on. I'm going to have to pull that up, bro. I need the whole thing, bro. We need the speech, bro. Gohan. The birds, the trees, Gohan. Like...
What?
Android 16.
this point, he was
Oh,
getting
that's
cooked.
bad. I threw him too
I
far.
think Cell Juniors came out. He was like, Gohan's like, I don't want to kill you. And this nigga's like, I want you to try, little nigga. And he's like, I don't want to have to do that. And then so they kind of push him. So, but even them niggas getting fried by the Cell Juniors, you know what I mean? They're holding their own. So, you know what I mean? Some people getting fried like Krillin and shit. Other niggas, you know what I'm saying? Salute Krillin though, bro. I'm rewatching Z, and like, bro, I have so much respect for Krillin. That nigga was clearly outmatched in a lot of the endeavors from this point on. But he was there, my nigga. Like, he was there, and he was always about throwing a fucking Destructo disc at a nigga if necessary, bro. Like, that's a real nigga, bro. That's a real nigga, bro. He stood by the homie through and through. And then he stood by the homie's son. Even when that nigga was out, he was like, nah, bro. I'm Unc too, you feel me? It was anyways, all right.
Gohan, let it go.
Gohan.
It is not a sin to fight for the right cause. There are those who words alone will not reach. Cell is such a being. I know how you feel, Gohan. You are gentle. You do not like to hurt. I know because I too have learned these feelings. But it is because you cherish life that you must protect it.
Isn't it crazy how and like, this is something I'm just noticing and shit. Fucking Android 16 is a literal murder machine. He's designed, and his sole purpose in life is to murk Goku. And he's like, I learned the birds, the trees, they're beautiful, Gohan. And Gohan knows that shit is beautiful and knows that shit is important and even knows life is important, which is why he has such a hard time fighting, understanding that it could result in that. So it's weird, bro. It's like they like, I mean, it makes sense, right? That he's the one that told him, because they're the opposite in that way. Someone who was built to kill and someone who was built to love, and he's just like, hey, bro, you kind of gotta do what I did. I learned what you know what I mean? I just learned these things, bro. This nigga was like born like months ago. In the span of things, like, that's wild.
Ugh.
Nigga said,
This
hey, Cell's an asshole, bro.
sentimental downpour is killing me. It's so nice of you to help, 16.
That's crazy.
But I plan on doing this my way. Please, drop your restraints. Protect the life I loved. You have the strength. My scanners sensed it. Just let it go. Yet another fighter you could have saved.
16. You loved life. You gave everything up to save it. And you were just an android. I let you die. I can't do that. I won't watch anymore. I feel it slipping. And I won't watch this anymore!
So from here,
I feel it slipping.
we gotta watch the transformation. Of course, we gotta watch the transformation.
unreal! This is it. Gohan's releasing his energy. Gohan!
That screen shaking.
Attaboy, Gohan.
So, that's it, huh? You are making the same mistake Trunks did, boy. Don't think you can beat me just by powering up.
Stop it!
Huh?
That's enough! Tell them to
Cell
stop
Junior, bro.
it!
That's the way. Let it all go.
The nigga who's gonna get bodied by this transformation is like, bro, let me see it, bro. Ain't that fucked up, bro? Let the little nigga be, bro. Like, that's fucked up, bro. Listen, man. Cool moment. Great moment. Niggas can say this nigga peaked at 11 or whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? Peaked at Teen Gohan. But if you really kind of think about this, bro, this nigga loses his fucking mind. And everyone's just like, yeah, little nigga, we love that shit. Like, he is fucking going insane at this point. And we know that he is because of how his entire temperament changes from this point. At this point, after he transforms, after he murks the Cell Juniors, he doesn't immediately handle Cell and be like, from that point, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, cool. He's dealt with, and now I'm just gonna, transform back into base form or de-transform, if that's a word, type shit. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't fucking do that, my nigga. He's like, Goku's like, finish it now, Gohan, and he doesn't finish it. He's like, nah, it's not enough. I gotta beat this nigga's ass some more. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, he doesn't, he indulges in what everybody wanted him to indulge in this entire time. But they wanted it so that he could save everyone and do that. And in him indulging in it, he ends up losing his father. Because he indulged in the shit. Everybody was trying to bring this shit out of him. Shit, Android 16 was trying to bring this shit out of him. The nigga who sacrificed himself so that he would get to this point. Cell was like, yeah, nigga, let that shit go. Goku was like, I believe in you, forfeited the fight so that his son could get to this point. And it's just like, bro, he ends up becoming sadistic in a way. Where he's relishing in the fact that now that I, even though I didn't want to beat this nigga's ass, now that I'm beating this nigga's ass, I'm going to have some fun with it. And he makes this grave mistake because of that. He gets injured because once he gets his sense, you know what I mean? He sees that fucking Vegeta's about to get murked. He saves Vegeta. He loses one of his arms, and now he's even more fucked up because Cell came back stronger, and now you basically got, again, one arm tied behind your back. Right? So it's like it's crazy to me, man, because it's not even like he needed to be that. He just needed to tap into it. And because it's not in his nature to tap into it, who he became when he did altered so much of his perception. And what he wanted to do and what he ended up doing ended up being something, and maybe he didn't even want to do it. Maybe it was just this primal urge that just was in him, and that's kind of the whole thing about it, right? He was just a kind nigga who just, they wanted him to lock the fuck in, I guess, and tap into this strength. And like when he did, he ended up doing shit that just made things worse. And he even felt bad about it. You know what I mean? Like going back to it, going back to it. Oh, humiliate Cell. Let's go. This is kind of what we need to see for now, cause that's what niggas see it as. But Vegeta made the same mistake. I liken this to say that going back to him training in the same environment as Goku and Vegeta. They're both in the hyperbolic time triangle. But we can mention Trunks, but Trunks at this point isn't necessary for this comparison, and we'll get to Trunks a little later because he's kind of interesting too. Once he gets to that point, he starts kind of behaving like Vegeta did when he was fighting Semi-Perfect Cell. What Vegeta did when he was fighting Semi-Perfect Cell was try to cook that nigga and humiliate him. Like, he wanted him to feel weak and shit. Vegeta wanted to flex his oh-so-great strength on that nigga. And this may not be what I'm looking for. But he wanted to flex this oh-so-great strength on the nigga. And in doing so, let him absorb Android 18 and then become a nigga who he couldn't even touch. And then in turn, Cell did the same thing to that nigga. He ended up frying that nigga. And Vegeta just like, damn. Fuck. Like, that nigga just gave the fuck up. Once he couldn't do it no more. And it's like, this is the same mistake he's making here. He's frying this nigga. He's winning. He makes him de-transform. And instead of just ending it, that nigga's like, he essentially gives him an opportunity. And we can't blame this all on Gohan, because Cell's playing dirty, right? Cell's playing dirty. And Gohan's like, ah, fuck, you know? And since he's playing dirty, you know, Goku has to step in. And Goku stepping in is just kind of the regret that Gohan has to carry. Because Goku literally stepped down so that he could do this. So he made him step in again. And, you know, he felt really shitty about it. And so, like, I don't know, man. Like, I think that just makes me think of a lot of things. One of the things is that this is why niggas like the Vegetas in the world and the Vegetas in this world are just playing second fiddle to niggas like Gohan's potential and Goku in actuality. Because Gohan's potential is stronger than both of them. It's what Goku ends up trying to embody, or they try to make Goku embody by making him this like defender of Earth. But if we know about Dragon Ball, Goku really is just a kid learning about the world, and he learns about the world through competition. So he just wants to test what he can do by continually putting himself in harder environments against harder opponents, so that he can actually be like, okay, cool, like I'm strong enough to do this, I'm strong enough to do that. But the potential of Gohan is knowing that he could, you know, everyone knowing that he could be and is, while also desiring to just literally protect people. So I'm gonna cut to this scene. This is the scene where he's hitting that the Kamehameha with his dad, the father-son Kamehameha. Goated moment, looks fire. You know what I'm saying?
Release it, Gohan! Release everything! Remember all the pain he's caused, the people he's hurt. Now make that your power!
And now what Goku's telling him there is to direct that anger into defeating Cell. I bring up Vegeta because Vegeta's usually has that same MO, but it's his pride that he uses to defeat people. His sense of inferiority to those pushes him to try to makes him feel. His sense of inferiority is it's a contradiction. he feels superior to everyone because of his lineage and because of his potential, while also carrying around a like an insecurity and an inferiority complex to these people who he recognizes are stronger than him, but he can't recognize it because that would mean defeat. And I ain't hear no bell, right? So until you whoop his ass, and even after so you whoop his ass, because I mean it was Vegeta, man. He ain't gonna get that final dub. He's still not even gonna give you the props you deserve and call you a real nigga. Be like, all right, man, you got me. You gonna be like, hey, bitch, round 2 then, like, which is somewhat commendable, right? It's somewhat commendable to still want to go up, because even fucking Goku does that to some degree, which is why they're almost like two sides of the same coin, but just nigga heads or tails is still different. You know what I'm saying? They're both I would say human, but that's like not true at all. They're fucking Saiyans, but they're both Saiyans, full-blooded Saiyans, but their disposition is different, and that's what is important, which is why someone like a Saiyan who's born on Earth like Goku has in actuality the full capability of being someone who is what Gohan is potentially, even though the potentiality would still be greater than what it is in actuality for Goku, if that isn't too confusing. So like Gohan's potential is greater than even what the best nigga can do. But the reason why it isn't respected is because it's just his potential. And it's not who he's choosing to be. And it's not who he has to be. It's just who he could be. And who he could be and who he is like a hard thing to reconcile if it's not who he has to be. Because those things aren't the same. And since they're not the same, it makes him kind of feel like it's like wasted potential. And I think that's a negative way of looking at it. I think it's actualized potential, because he gets to be who he wants to be for real. And even if it's not who he wants to be, he gets to at least respect the wishes of his mother, which is for him to be a scholar. He doesn't have to choose to be just like his dad. He doesn't have to choose to be just like his mom. He can be a nigga who throws hands and read books. But if you got both of those things on your plate, it's like, okay, you got to be the best at both, or really good at, at both of them. And that's what he ends up doing. He ends up being really good at one and really good at the other in times where it's necessary. Because Goku can kind of just solely focus on throwing hands. And so that solo focus of being able to do that, just makes it that much easier to reach the potentiality that is within someone like Gohan, who, if they devoted themselves to one or the other, would probably outshine everyone in that regard. But he doesn't have to choose once he gets past this hurdle, which is Cell, right? The hurdle is Cell. And even this time, we know that alone in his own strength that he wasn't doing this, because we know that the nigga, we're not ever alone in our own strength in this way. Look at that. Vegeta help this little nigga. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like even his potentiality, and Goku's helping him, right? Vegeta's helping him physically, and spiritually his father is there for him, right? So that allows him to actually do it. His potential was never his own. It was the potential of those around him who were pushing him in this way. That's why he doesn't reach these heights again, because it's within his own, and why Goku gets super stronger as he trains with Vegeta and who else he trains with, because it's them pushing him in that way, and not only pushing him but being there with him in the ways that they're with him. Feel me? Which are, different, but in this way equally helpful, as we see, right? If Vegeta doesn't get that distraction, that doesn't create the opening. Because if Vegeta backdoor king, you know what I mean? Sneak Nation's finest type shit, you know what I'm saying? But that gives Goku the opportunity, and that nigga is just, I just need one opportunity to shine type nigga, you feel me? Give me one opportunity to, you know what I'm saying? I hit you with one beam. Don't let me power up. Don't let me get this Kamehameha off, nigga. And it's like, man, this is everything this little nigga had. He lost his fucking mind, and he passes out afterwards. And a lot of heroes pass out afterwards. This is, you know what I mean? He gave everything. I think this happened to like Goku too in many fights. But man, bro, I just don't, you think about it and it's like, if they didn't have so much fucking pride and they just jump Cell, the teamwork is what beat them. Ultimately, the teamwork is what beat them, but they put the pressure of beating Cell all on Gohan. And they did that in a fucked up way because they believed in him. And I wouldn't even say they believed in him. They believed in his potential, which is different from him. It's who he could be. But Piccolo understands him because in some way, he kind of molded this nigga. Like, of course, Gohan, like I was just saying, respects his mother's wishes for him to be a scholar, respects his dad's wishes to try to, keep up with his training. But in the same way, when I'm talking about, so going forward again to Dragon Ball Superhero, essentially Piccolo does the same thing but with less stakes, which is, I think, a helpful push, Whereas Goku chucked this nigga in the deep end and was like, swim, nigga, and gave Cell a sensu bean, you know what I mean? And it's like, nah, my nigga got strong legs, you know what I'm saying? And his son's just drowning, and he's just like, hey, nah, he got strong legs. I see that nigga kick me in my shin once. I would sit down for a week. I had to wear a brace and everything. Like, you know what I mean? Piccolo, let me see if I can pull up the scene. Piccolo has him lock in by grabbing Pan and like not even hurting her. He just dressed like the ops. Do. So, all right. We'll bring it to this fight. So, you feel me? It's fine. He's good. They start boxing. Gohan's kind of getting fried, not gonna lie. He goes Super Saiyan. Does he go Super Saiyan after that, or when does he transform? I just saw it. Is it not in this scene? Because even as Super Saiyan, he's kind of getting fried because he's just kind of running in. Right there. So it isn't here. Which allows him to transform into his strongest transformation at this point in the series. Mystic, Ultimate, Gohan, whatever it is. It's him literally not even going Super Saiyan. And I think this is probably the closest. I think this is probably what Ultra Instinct gets. It's like it's like the not full Ultra Instinct, but like the one, and this is the fucking headcanon, right? But like I think it kind of comes off of this because it's like what, the clear aura, the hair being darkened, you know what I'm saying? And just the demeanor switch up, which is something we get in Super Saiyan, but at the same time, it's even more different. Like when Gohan's in Mystic or Ultimate form, he's literally just chilling, whooping your shit. He looks unbothered. Now in the Boo fight, he kind of was using that same, you know, I don't know, what's the word I used before? I don't even remember. But that same kind of like sadistic nature, I guess, if that's the word I would use before. And it's still, I think it fits. Where he was like, "Are you here to beat me?" And he's like, "No, I'm here to kill you." And it's like, nah, you should have just fried this nigga, bro. Like, you should have just done that and not like flexed on this nigga. Because this nigga just start aura farming when he knows he's stronger than you. But look at him. Now he's handling it. No, he just silently didn't even see, bro was done. I think that's that's so fire. Because as soon as he hit this nigga with like a 3-piece combo, what's the objective? Pan, nigga. I tweaked out like this because Pan was in danger. But the push wasn't like, he didn't have to fucking lose his mind because Android died and because then his father died and then because like everyone was getting cooked by these Cell Juniors. Piccolo just had to kind of make it seem that way. But that's kind of the shitty part about all this. It's like, in a way, in this way, he's getting tricked into doing this. Because Gohan, they said he wasn't focused on his training. He was just being a dad, doing dad things. And he had to get tricked into doing this. He pulled up because he was told, but he had to get tricked into tapping into this, which sucks. Because I think the triggers that make him become this they're not received the same way something like it is for like Goku or like even Vegeta. Like when he said Pan, he sounded hurt, bro. When he said stop to Cell, that's enough. He was angry, but bro was hurt. Bro was about to cry. And is it because it's in his good nature that he feels that way? Maybe, but maybe this is just too fucking much for this nigga, bro. So he don't need to be doing this. For real.
What evil secret organization are you talking about?
But he has to.
I'm talking about you guys! That's why they had you kidnap a little girl! You're wrong!
Try and calm down, Gamma!
We need to have a talk.
That I don't know, man.
I had no idea.
It's just a thought.
Not gonna end. 4.
You mean you're not gonna run? What are you doing here, Piccolo?
You're asking me that now? Focus on the fight.
Oh, all right.
See? You kind of see that within him, which is similar to his father in a way, right? This kind of aloofness. But he's just asking him. Because he's like, nigga, at any point, he's excited to see that nigga Piccolo. You know what I'm saying? He's like, hey, the fuck? Piccolo, like, my nigga,
That's boring.
locked
Sorry,
in.
bud. You're a little
Which is,
upgraded to
again,
you,
what
but
he
it
tried to
won't
bring
be
out of
nearly
him
enough to
by
keep up with me.
bringing Pan up and all that shit. And it's why people like Vegeta don't appreciate
Seems like you don't get tired.
Gohan, you know what I mean? Like, not focusing on his training. Because I think for Vegeta, that pisses him off even more. Because in a way, he wants to prove himself against Gohan. Because he knows how strong this nigga is. But this nigga won't even give him a fight. It's kind of like, random example, like Shanks and Mihawk, and how Mihawk doesn't want to fight that nigga no more because he doesn't have an arm. And it's like, he's upset. He's like, man, this bitch ass nigga don't even got 2 arms no more, bro. I'm not gonna fight with 1-armed swordsman. What the fuck? Like, he's mad because that nigga now wasn't even gonna give him a challenge. Because Shanks did it for a better cause, right? We would imagine he did it for Luffy, because of Luffy, if not for. if both, right? And or type shit. I don't know, man. I think analyzing, and not even analyzing it to like, oh man, this is da-da-da, but like just thinking about it fucking critically makes it more than just a nigga throwing hands sometimes. It's like, why these niggas throwing hands? Which is like why a narrative can give like a lot of meaning. And stakes are important because the stakes make the hands that are being thrown kind of have a point beyond just the sake of competition, which is what most of the martial art tournaments were. Like, there were stakes around them, but most of the time it was just to see if Goku was really like that nigga or not, which we knew he was, but he just had to do it on a large stage. And the craziest thing is that Gohan doesn't even get this recognition. It goes to Hercule. He's not the one he beats Cell. And like in a lot of the ways he doesn't want it. That's why he goes around being the Saiyan man, because he could just be the Saiyan man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could just be a Saiyan, my nigga. You don't have to wear a Dewey. He doesn't want that. What comes with that isn't conducive to who he was raised up to be on one side of the, you know what I mean, by his mom. And he respects that. You know what I mean? Because like part of that is a lot of who he is. And it's not all of it. Just like no one person is any, you know, not just one of anything. But it's like, man. And I appreciate that this got him like another form somewhat. But is it just another form? It's called Beast again. Is it just another form that's just like basically like a fucking trauma response? Which, I mean, I guess Super Saiyan is in itself, which makes it like, alright. But like, is that just what it's gonna be? You know? Is that just what it is? Is that just what we're all to do or to be? I don't know, man. I think it's what Piccolo's assumed death, which pushes him over the edge. If I'm okay, yeah, there it is. His assumed defeat. I don't know if it's absolute. We know it's not like actual that. Right here. It's the same thing, bro. From Ultimate, it's him tweaking out. And Piccolo dragged them into this entire shit. You're lacking on your training, Gohan. And then this time, I think he just locks in, right? He just locks in and beats him. Yeah, let's see. I don't remember. I saw this movie, but I don't remember exactly if he just hit him with a beam or not. Done right. Oh, they added the music. And then just immediately starts ore farming again. Same shit. Kick that nigga in his shit. Okay, cool. And then he just did it. Maybe this is like a condensed clip, yeah, because there's some other shit that happens. They like hold him up or whatever. And then the thing is, afterwards, he's fine. I think that's kind of at this point, right? He's adult. He's an adult. He's just in his new form. I think he's talking to Piccolo, and maybe he's a lot more adjusted at this point. You know, he's a father. The stakes were high because of Cell Max, but they weren't high the entire time, right? It was just the Gammas and then Pan, who was fucking kidnapped by Piccolo type shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It was one of those things to where like I just think about, is it worse to be like a Gohan? Because I think about like some of my favorite characters. Maybe it's just because this is one of the first pieces of fictional media that I like was enthralled by. Like, but I even think of like one really closely related example to me is like One Piece. Like, I really fuck with the character Sanji. And I fuck with Sanji too, not just because of his potential, but I can't say that the potential of him being I can't say that his potential of being one of the strongest Straw Hats with minimal effort now, and just if he actually locked the fuck in, you know what I mean, and didn't restrain himself by like using his hands and like, you know what I'm saying, doesn't make him also interesting in that way. Because like, bro's a cook. Like, we think about even if Jinbei's stronger, that's not true. But even if Jinbei was considered stronger, which, you know, at this point, I don't argue with people who could, because he's more actualized in feats and, you know, status than Sanji is. Feats and status has never been what that nigga's about. He's about cooking 5 meals, nigga. That nigga trying to get the recipes and shit. That nigga trying to have all the ingredients so that he can cook shit up. So it's like, that nigga loves to do that. He loves to cook, you know what I mean? He's not even a fighter. His role is chef. His goal isn't to be the strongest kicking nigga on the planet, you know what I mean? Like the strongest martial artist or anything like that. So just him even displaying this much strength is like remarkable, because he's just a nigga who wants to cook. And he does cook. He cooks niggas up. He be fine niggas up and they shit. And that's funny. Cause he not even trying to. His whole goal is to just be a good chef and have all the tools at his disposal to be the best chef. If he's at the All Blue, he can use fucking fish and things from all different, you know, all 4 different blues, which is cool. But in his fighting style, it's very restrictive. He restricts himself from using his hands. Shit, we saw him one time use knives, and he doesn't even use those, knowing that, nigga, that's okay, cool, you're not using your hands to punch a nigga and to harm, you know what I mean? You're not breaking fingernails or breaking knuckles, which now that we know is Germa DNA and shit, it's like, bro, even if you broke your knuckles, like, that wouldn't stop you from being, like, what the fuck's a broken knuckle, bro? Queen turned this nigga into, like, a jigsaw piece, nigga. Turned him into a jigsaw puzzle. And it's like, he was still, or Queen did, and he was still able to throw hands with niggas. So he doesn't even need to not throw hands with niggas like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could do it, but it's just because of it. And even more restrictive is his way with, like, women. Like, bro, if Sanji just started kicking bitches, even that puts him up so much stronger. But I respect that he's not. Like, I respect that he's not. You know? And I think that puts him in a weird position to where his restraint, his ability to kind of restrict himself, they make him unappealing to some. There's people like Luffy and like Zoro who just kind of don't give a shit as long as it gets them to where they need to be. And it's why I think of Sanji or like Gohan in that kind of that same boat where, you know, there's people like Goku. Like, Goku's the tournament of power. He risked the universe getting erased because he wanted to lock in and body some niggas. And of course they brought them back with their wishes with the Super Dragon Balls. But that nigga was really willing to risk the universe. He was like, nah, I whoop their ass. I'll bet the universe on it. My nigga, my brother in Christ. We're not with him, bro. Why could he make this bet? Like, on our behalf. Like, why could he do that? Vegeta's constantly willing to risk his pride, just like when he fought Cell, and is like, and even in those fights where he's with Goku, he's risking his pride every time if he doesn't whoop the nigga that is like the final boss. You know what I mean? Because then he has to believe in Goku to do it, and that's why it makes his speeches in Super and then any other time, you know, he goes Majin. It makes all of those speeches so impactful because it's someone with an immense amount of pride, putting it aside for the greater good, and for that we can respect it, because at least then, since he's putting everything on the line for his pride, when he can't do it and he puts his pride on the line, we can see that he's putting everything there. And you know, with Gohan, I think it's kind of different. It's like, I respect him for not, because it just means that he doesn't, you know, it doesn't mean that he can't. It doesn't mean that he's incapable, you know. Whereas others might say it and see that, and that's why they can dislike him, and for sure why Vegeta's upset with this nigga. I mean, it's like I accept him, you know? Whereas like Vegeta doesn't accept that he's number 2. He can in instances, but that doesn't ever make him stop training and be okay with it. You know, and that's commendable, right? Because we should want to keep going. We should try to be that nigga. He should always want to strive to be stronger than Kakarot, just like Goku wants to strive to just have better competition. And the better he gets, the higher competition he needs to get. Which is why Beerus at this point ends up being like or Whis, them, you know what I mean? The God and the Angel, they end up being end goals for Goku. You know, but with someone like Goku, there's the sky can never be the limit. And then you go further than that, and there's literally no limits. So he and Vegeta are kind of like unchecked growth, you know? Like, you can get to a point where it's so massive and you just consume everything. And an ability to have balance within that is, I mean, Goku, bro, Goten didn't even know he had a dad. I mean, that nigga was dead, but like, he was just like, nah, don't bring me back. I don't know if they could they die? He might have died too many times. I don't even think that's true, because that nigga came back in the flesh. He met his son. At least in Super. The Z, was he not alive? And no one was alive in Z at the end of it. They brought everyone back, right? I don't know, nigga. I have to double check that. But it's like, I don't know, man. My thoughts. So shout out Gohan, my nigga. Shout out Sanji and shit. Shout out, you know, Kira Toriyama and Ichiro Oda. Because them niggas can write characters like, you know, Luffy and Naruto, or not Naruto, the fuck. I mean, shout out that nigga Kishimoto too, you feel me? That's that nigga, man. That's that nigga for sure. Naruto's a great, man, hold on. I'm gonna have to talk about how Naruto might just be that nigga. He might just be the Gohan type and Sanji type nigga that, like, is the nigga who, like, in a narrative I really appreciate. But anyways, like Goku and Vegeta and like fucking Zoro and Luffy, right? He can write these niggas who kind of, you know, for ease of explanation, kind of have that conqueror's hockey. You know what I'm saying? Unchecked growth. Nigga, I'm gonna be the best sword nigga. Nigga, I'm gonna be better than that one nigga who thinks he's better than everybody. Nigga, I'm gonna be the king of the pirates. Nigga, I'm gonna be the strongest martial artist, essentially. which isn't like, I don't think that's inherently Goku's goal, but like it's I think I mean I don't think it's what he says, so I don't think it's like what's the one I'm looking for. I don't know if that's verbatim his goal. You know, like I don't know if there's a word for word where Goku's like, what is Goku's end goal? Is it just to fight strong niggas? Right? That's just his goal, right? Just to fight strong niggas. I think that's it. To become the strongest martial artist and to constantly test himself against powerful opponents. Yeah. Yeah, and that's why he does the Tenkaichi Budokai. That's why he's in the World's Martial Arts Tournament. Okay, cool. You feel me? And then Naruto's go to just to talk about Naruto, my nigga, because we gonna leave Ichigo out of this because Ichigo is the realest nigga of them all, and that's something that I need to rewatch and re-get back into because his goal isn't any of that shit. His goal is like, I don't think he wants to do any of the shit that he has to do. I think he just wants to chill with his family, bro. I really think that's all Ichigo wants to do, right? That's it. He just wants to protect his fucking family, bro. The realest fucking nigga, bro. The realest fucking nigga. But again, we respect Naruto because he's striving for something. And the reason why I was bringing up Naruto is because he is kind-hearted. He has every reason to become Gaara. And we see that. And it's funny that Gaara becomes Kazekage before Naruto becomes Hokage because, in a way, without, like, niggas trying to murder him directly, which they still tried to. You know what I mean? Like, what's that nigga's name? Mizuki? Yeah? That's that nigga who like wanted him to steal the scroll and then kill him, right? Yeah, there you go. That one nigga. You feel me? So like, you know what I'm saying? They still tried to. Even though they tried to. His entire goal was to become Hokage. Not because he wanted to sign no documents and sign no paperwork. It's literally so that people respect him. He understands at least, like, fuck, bro. People are treating me like shit. And, like, really, he's, like, kind of, like, I don't want to say royalty, because Hokage is really not, like, a royal position. But, like, in a way, he's a descendant of one of the realest niggas ever. And people don't respect him. And he realizes that, you know, and he needs to follow in his father's footsteps, basically. And he doesn't even know his father, so he doesn't even know that that's what he's doing. But he just ends up doing the same exact thing, becoming basically the hero. And he does it without having to sacrifice himself for his friends. So he does it better than his father. You know what I mean? Which is kind of what they wanted Gohan to be able to do. And I think he does, you know, I think he does do it better than his father because he's not putting everyone he kind of has the same goals like an Ichigo. He's just trying to protect his family, which, I mean, shit, that's the most human thing anyone wants to do, right? Like, to protect their family. Like, I really do think I need to go and rewatch Bleach now just because it's like, damn, my nigga, like, you know, I can think about that and realize that, like, really all it is that someone's in danger and then Ichigo is forced into action to have to protect them. And it makes for a remarkable story because of it. But like they like Kubo writes it in a way where it's never actually like his end goal to do any of the things that he ends up doing. Like that nigga's not trying to be the Soul King. You know what I mean? That nigga's not trying to beat, you know what I mean, Huach. It's all just happenstance, which, you know, as a driver to a story, what a driver, right? I mean, I play Fallout 4, and the driver is, they kidnap my son, I'm gonna find them. They kidnap my son, they kill my wife, I'm gonna find them niggas. So the first act of it is avenging your murdered spouse or husband, right? You can play as a man or a woman. And the second half of it is I'm gonna find my son. And it's like, man, that's an easy fucking narrative, an easy driver for any narrative, right? Because it's relatable. It's something that we could say is commendable. And like, it's kind of based in some sort of realism, right? Family. Not to say everyone would feel that way, because some people who just, unfortunately don't have that same sort of relationship with family or view family in that same way. So, of course, there's like minor differences, right? Not everything is for everyone, just because then everyone would be the same. And we're not. But I don't know, man. It's like, it's really hard, because Gohan blames himself. He says that he lets Android 16 die, but I think Android 16 let himself die for Gohan. And it's fucked up to Gohan. But that's weird to say when he's the nigga who lives. Because it's like, that's not, like, that doesn't sound right. And like, I can make sense of it, but it doesn't sound right. It sounds like it was exactly how Gohan received it. And if that's what made him let go so that he could tap into the, his potential to beat Cell, then it's like for a good cause, right? At least I think that's something that's worth believing in. But I like to think, to just wrap it all back, I like to think that if there was a way, which I think there is a way, that Gohan could tap into that strength, that Ichigo could tap into that strength without having someone basically in jeopardy all the time, then that would make them the like perfect person. Not even just protagonists. They'd be like perfect. They'd be fictional characters, so not real people, right? But they'd be the perfect person. And that's, I think, what we strive to be, and why I think fictional narratives, and shonen to be specific, because that's what I'm talking about, are so important. Because it gives us a reason. And I mean, even Luffy, with his goal being his goal, I think something like that ends up being like I don't know, it ends up encompassing a lot. Like, there's a point in the story, I think we might be there now in the anime, but in the manga, if you read weekly, where Luffy talks about his end goal, but it ends up being like glossed over. Like, it like cuts to another scene, and then it comes back. He said, "I swore an oath to blah blah blah." All right, let me pull this up. And this is before. No, this is after he already got the straw hat. Okay, cool. So he has a straw hat. He says Sabo tells him his goal. He wants to see the world and write a book. Which I think Sabo might be. I don't know if these people are self-inserts for Oda, but it kind of seems like Luffy. They're all kind of self-inserts for Oda, but Sabo in particular seems like a lot of a self-insert for Oda, at least in this goal right here. See the world and write a book about it. I think Luffy's doing that. I think Luffy doing what he's doing, like seeing the world but not writing a book about it, is like Oda seeing the world and then writing a manga about it. But I'm just a nigga saying things on the internet type shit. So whatever. And then Luffy goes, my turn. And I said I'd boom. And you look at the reactions of the crew. Zoro is Zoro. And I think if I were to say I know these characters, right? Zoro saying "huh" and nothing else is hilarious to me, because you see there's kind of sweat on his face. Zoro's a very pragmatic individual. He knows exactly who and what he has to become so that he can beat Mihawk. Because his goal is he's already seen it. Like, he's physically fought this nigga and can gauge the strength to some level. It doesn't mean he has a full grasp of what it is. But him training with Mihawk on, training with him and then fighting him on another occasion, he's pragmatic as fuck. He gets it. That means whatever Luffy is dreaming must be fucking insane to do, which is already like King of the Pirates, right? Whatever, it's a feat. Nigga, that shit's hard as hell. But if it just makes him say, huh? Like, what? I'm first mate to a nigga who wants to do some shit like this? Jinbei, right? Jinbei's reaction to say, what did you just say? For him to be like, you can kind of see, he's kind of worried too. Jinbei is the nigga who grounded Luffy when he was losing his fucking mind after Ace died, who was like, bro, you got what else do you have? You know what I mean? Who grounded this nigga. So we know that he's really grounded, right? He's doing this shit for the people. He knows what it's like to sacrifice himself for Fishman and for, you know what I'm saying, for the people around him and all that kind of stuff. So he's also very grounded. Him just to be like, what did you say? I know you heard the nigga. We ain't hear the nigga. You know what I'm saying? Nami being like, what? And sweating. You know what I'm saying? Nami saying, what? She heard this nigga. So I think the two pragmatic niggas, Jinbei, kind of both big bro characters to this nigga. You know, big bro Jinbei, big bro Zoro. You know what I'm saying? Zoro being closer in age. Nah, I'm yapping and shit. This nigga, bro, this nigga probably on some shit where he's like, damn, this nigga a trip. And Nami on some shit where, she kind of really, she not pragmatic, but she's pragmatic. You know, she's like that. But she also on some like, she just says what? She knows she heard him. I think Zoro and Jinbei, big bros, are kind of like, yo, what? What did this nigga say? And Nami's like she heard this nigga and is on some like, oh, this nigga is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, type shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she has to just say what? Brooke, dead musician, is just laughing. And it's just like, this nigga trip. You know what I'm saying? Usopp, top tier capper. You know what I'm saying? Big sniper, god king, etc. Ask Luffy if he's serious. And I think that's a really, really fucking hilarious question for Usopp in particular to ask. Because you could say the same shit about all of his dreams, bro. I want to be a brave warrior in the sea. Nigga, you serious? You who runs and you know what I mean, caps at any turn to just, you know what I'm saying? For him to be like, are you serious? And he's dead ass. So when he's asking Luffy that, I think that's important. Because that nigga asking if he's dead ass when this nigga's dead ass. And it's just like, he understands the gravity of it. It must be some heavy. Because his expression is similar to how Big Bro, you know what I mean? But he's a lot more worried because Usopp, even though he does believe in it, he's just scared as fuck at what the fuck it's gonna cost and what it'll take to be all of that. He knows what it is, but he like, nigga, that don't mean that shit not scary, nigga. Goes in that shit, eyes wide open, my nigga. But then you see Frankie, my nigga. This I love these last couple of expressions so much. Frankie is laughing, similar to Brooke, crying his fucking eyes out. They think this shit is hilarious, bro. But they don't think it's hilarious in a way of like, we're making fun of this nigga for having lofty goals. It's like, nigga, what? Hey. Nah, let's do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that shit. Frankie down. Frankie down. Because Frankie is a crash out, too. You know what I'm saying? He for sure is a crash out. That nigga tried to stop a train, bro. With his body. Like, he crashed. He bowed it. You know what I'm saying? But then you go to someone like Sanji, right? Frankie bowed it. He's on some big bro shit, too. But he bowed it on some big bro, like, nah, nigga, let's do it. Like, I crash out with you type shit. Not even like, bro, what? Like, what am I getting into? He's like, nigga, I heard you. And, okay. As crazy as that sounds, I can't say I'm not down, my nigga. Sanji, my boy. My boy brings in. I gotta go Robin. I gotta go to Robin first. Robin, she don't know what the fuck to say. She literally looking like she didn't even say anything. She doesn't know what to say because this nigga is now responsible for her life since she tried to like kill herself or wants to kill herself. And he's like, yeah, you could do that after you come back. So she's just kind of stuck with this nigga. And she's kind of just like, not even like, okay, you know what I mean? Just kind of like what? Like staring at amazement. She thinks this nigga is unbelievable is what I'm getting from it. Which is, I mean, yeah, he is unbelievable. This is why Usopp asked if he's serious. This nigga, that's not believable, bro. But he's unbelievable in a good way. Going back to Sanji and Chopper. Sanji's laughing, similar to how Brooke and motherfucking and Frankie are, because he's a crash out too. That nigga's tried multiple times to sacrifice himself for the crew and for the people around him and all that kind of shit. So he goes to Chopper and says, you know what I mean? I think someone needs to check his head. Because he even understands what he's saying is wild and insane, just like how everyone else is. But I think it's just beautiful that he acknowledges that Chopper sees it's amazing. I would imagine that he is seeing, looking at Chopper, and his eyes are closed, he's laughing, right? And he sees that Chopper is just like enthralled at this nigga. He's looking at this nigga like he's a fucking superhero. Like he's cheesing, he's blushing because Luffy told him what he was gonna do. He's like, no fucking way, this nigga's what the he's inspiring to the kids, bro. And Sanji has a, you know what I mean? He got a good heart so he can see the shit. And he sees that like the doctor, you know what I mean? So he makes a little joke, you know what I mean? On some comedian type shit, which Sanji's kind of the funny guy. You know what I mean? I think he's not afraid to like somewhat humiliate himself or whatever. So he's kind of like a comic relief sort of character, which I mean his gag is just a lot. I see why people don't fuck with it, because his gag is a lot, bro. Like sometimes that shit don't be funny, my nigga, because it's just like, damn, bro, like get a grip, nigga. But it's cool, you know what I'm saying? It's cool. It's like he's okay with it because he knows who the fuck he is. He knows he respects women. He knows he fucks with women like that. So he go trip out, he go crash out and just let it happen. And then, yeah, just to go back, you know what I'm saying? Just Chopper being like, whoa. So like, I don't know. I think right, even though we know what Luffy's end goal is, somewhat, we don't know what he said he would do here, and I think this is where it becomes important. Now, this was on like a Reddit thread that has like a theory about what it is and all that. Niggas might have some good ideas. Niggas might be saying some shit. You know what I'm saying? And he kind of, these niggas was doing the same thing. He was breaking down all the responses and all that kind of shit. But I don't know, man. I think it's really interesting that we don't know that yet, because Luffy the entire time has been very direct in what he was trying to say. And even here, we see the scene where, here, hold on. He's talking about that promise that he makes with Ace and Sabo, right here. And this is a bit more pronounced, to where he says, "I want to be." We can assume it's the king of the pirates. We can, because that's what he's always said. And then Sabo has the same reaction. He's laughing, but he's not skeptical. He's like, at first they both say, "Huh." I think that's the initial reaction, right? Right here, they both like, "Huh." And then now it's like, all right. It's a lot more grounded. Ace, again, similar to how Luffy keeps, or similar to kind of like Zoro, Jinbei, and them niggas, that he keeps that same expression of like, this nigga is crazy. And they keep it in a way where it's like a crash out kind of crazy. And Luffy's just laughing. You know what I mean? And then Sabo's laughing too, but he has like an optimism. You know what I mean? He's like, I can't wait to see what you'll be like in the future. Because I think he thinks someone who can have that lofty of a goal has to be someone who will be interesting. You know what I mean? And what we see a parallel here. Someone, oh, this is a good article. Hold on. There's a parallel here where Roger says it to both Odin and Whitebeard. Feel me? Odin on some shit where he like, this nigga is amazing. And Whitebeard calls him a kid. Calls him a fucking kid. Which is... So, I don't know, man. I think if I'm going off of this, right... Ichigo had to grow up fast because his mom passed. And his dad was doing whatever he could to be both, you know what I mean, the man and, you know, the wife, or the husband and the wife, I would say. I don't know. I guess father and mother is better, because he wasn't being a wife to himself. He was being the father and the mother to himself and his, you know, his little girls and everything. So Ichigo kind of has to remain like a strong father-like figure. Goku, you know, just gets to kind of do what he wants to do. You know, Naruto didn't want the responsibility, but wanted, you know, the status because of what it would come with, essentially. It would come with him being someone who they had to respect, because he is the Hokage. And I think the Pirate King for Luffy is like a means to an end. And it's kind of similar to how Naruto wants to be the Hokage, right? He wants it because, you know, he wants to be respected ultimately. He wants niggas to stop shitting on him and saying that, nigga, you just some broke ass nigga on the street. Like, you know what I mean? That's kind of really what he wants at the end of the day. And he just sees the Hokages as the way of that. And we know he sees it that way because of the way kind of in the beginning he's acting out. If this nigga had so much respect for what all the Hokages did, you think that he would really fucking be painting on their faces like that? At the beginning of the series, that's what he gets in trouble for. Like, he gives a shit. He understands that these niggas are people who are supposed to be important, people who are supposed to be well respected by all these people. And he's like, why? The third pulls, I know the Hokage directly. He's just some old ass nigga. Like, why the respect is that? He doesn't get it because he's a kid. He doesn't understand everything that nigga had to do to be and get that much respect. So the joke is, fuck Lord Third, you know what I'm saying? It's a joke. I hope people know that it's a joke. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't really say fuck Lord Third. You nigga, old nigga been through a lot. You could say that he dropped the ball on Sasuke and Naruto and then kind of, you know, give really good reasons on that, and they're valid. But you can't really, I don't know, you can't really say that earnestly if you like are like really watching the series. You know what I'm saying? Because like, you know all the shit that he been through to get to that point. And if not all this shit, we don't know all this shit because like we don't know that nigga's whole timeline. But like we know enough about that nigga to know that like at this point this nigga was just tired. But I think Luffy's Pirate King is a means to an end. That's like, or it's a means to something else. It's like, what does he really want to do? What does he really want to be? Who does he really want to be? I don't know, man. There's a lot of probably analysis out there that says things. You know, he wants to be just free. He wants to be. So this what is this? This fucking Reddit thread says I think he said he wants everyone to be a pirate or some shit like that. Or whatever. But like we don't know, man. And it just I think once he gets to that point, we'll know. And the journey is getting to that point. And that's what makes it that's what makes it pretty cool to me. But yeah, man, I fuck with anime, bro. Heavily. I think anime is sick, bro. Whoa. Niggas had a Clash of Ninja 4 tourney, bro. Niggas do Clash of Ninja tournaments?